Okay, welcome to this presentation of the stock forecasting module. My name is Giacomo Grasso. Here below you see my LinkedIn profile, and please check also the Odoo Minds link you see here on the left. There are some courses also, and we're organizing courses on warehouse and in production. So just give a look. Okay, so this module is stock forecasting. The goal is to foresee how much goods, products we will have in the future. That's the basics. So let's look at it. So this is an Odoo 12 installation. It's a community version, but it works perfectly also on enterprise version. We go into apps, we search for stock forecasting, and stock forecasting, perfect. We have two modules. One is the basic one, so with the computation systems, and the other adds sale order and purchase order to the computation. Okay, I made different modules for two reasons. First, because if you have an enterprise version, you may not have all the apps installed. And second, because I want to show how, say, easy it can be to add additional information to this forecasting. So now it's based on stock moves and orders, but you can add any other object you want to add. It's quite, you have to write some code, of course, but it's not that complicated. So let's go here to our inventory menu. It's very simple. It's just a reporting and compute stock forecast menu. Okay, so what we want to do is, of course, foresee how much products we will have. We may also want to look in the past. These data are quite old, so they're based in June. So we set a date range. Let's go here in June, okay, just to make a 2-month forecast. We have so the date range is the first two fields. Additionally, you have some product options, okay, and some stock forecast option. Okay, we will go through all the details together. This default is because much of the configuration we are going to see requires a little bit of time to not too much, but so happens that user want to have some pre-configured, some default configuration to apply them fast. Okay, so let's go through it and see how it works. Let's start from the product options. We can select here products individually, so product 1, products 2. Okay, we can click on, we search on templates by categories. Okay, so for example, expenses, and you see that if we use one of these three fields, the others one are erased by default. And we have also here a flag, which is all products, that works only if the first three fields are empty, so we have to empty them. I made this slightly harder to use because, of course, if you have a lot of products, it may require a lot of time. So not a lot of time, but much more time. So you don't want to click this by mistake, let's say. So you want to be sure to see all of them. And here there is an additional feature which is called which is an advanced filtering system by Odoo. You see that here we have 732 records. So we click, we have a window with all the products we have. But if you click here on edit domain, which is here, we can make an additional and more powerful filters. So we can, for example, as a simple example, we can select the product type and pick, let's say, storable products. Okay. We can here, you see, add additional filters. We can remove them. And yeah, if we click on save, we have, you see that here we have some description provided and the number of records has decreased. So we can imagine if you have if we want to make a forecast on on a group of products, and those like, for example, categories, those filtered are not let's say enough powerful for you, you can use one of these and you can save them in the default. Okay, so you don't have to do, you can make 2 or 3, 4 defaults and then use them several times in your query. Okay, so let's look how it works. Sorry, just products 01 and products 02. Okay, I click on compute here, and what happens that we have a table. The table has two date columns, so the first one and the last one. We have dates where we have a stock move. So if we didn't have moves, we don't see the dates. You see that here there is, for example, jump, a hole in the days from the 25th of June to the 11th of July. First two columns are in and out, just as an overall overview. And then we have the first line is the quantity at the initial date. So you see here start, it's start date, so the 1st of June. We have 0 products. And then we start to have 18. We have 18 coming. And then we have, you see here, we have, sorry, I didn't say the columns. We have here the total of all the products in all locations. And here we have location by location, all the details. Okay. In the third line, you see that, for example, we have an internal transfer. So the total quantity is the same, still 18 pieces, but we have we go from 14. We move 4 pieces from the first location to the second location. Okay, so and here we have a -5, so an outgoing from the first location, and we see, let's say, in a short view how it works. Okay. Okay, perfect. So I think that the product options should be quite clear. Let's go to the forecast option, SF stock forecast option. What we can do is first here filter by location. We may want to see all of them or some of them. This is the first option. And again, these options can be stored in the default, so you don't have to do it all the time. Another things we can do here is the detailed balance. You click, you see, and I compute. What happens is that we see the same lines as before. So with the same total, you see the amount is 18 incoming and 5 leaving. We don't have, of course, internal transfers, but lines are gray. And if we click on the lines, we see the details of all the moves. So if we are working, if we make a, let's say, long range forecast, we don't want to have the detailed balance. Because because maybe we don't, or just try it gets lower the computation even from a representational point of view, but it's still working. This does make sense maybe if we work on a shorter range, but try it and let me know. What we can do here is we can click on short show charts. Okay, we have to remove the detailed balance. If you click on compute, you see that we have a graph view. This is quite ugly because we have few moves, but it's quite beautiful representation. Unfortunately, the bokeh library is not working 100%. So here you can, for example, you can save the image and use it somewhere. You cannot use the zooming, for example. This is the problem. And you don't have the Hoover working yet, but it will be working as soon as the module is updated. And what's important here is in the second column is that we have additional we can select the type of stock moves we worked on. So this is just a sum of stock moves. So from the inventory, but here, for example, we work on ready moves, but we can also click on waiting moves and on draft moves. So if we select them, you see that we have more information because Odoo is including this say module is including much more information than before. If you click on detail balance, for example, we see here we have also some the state of the move. So this is assigned, this is draft, etc. Okay, perfect. The locations you see here we have a filter which is called no empty location. This is because we may not. It happened the case where we have a client with a lot of locations and products move just in few of them. So by default, not only the location which are actually involved in stock moves in these moves are actually shown. So let's try, for example, to remove some products and compute. Okay, perfect. You see that now the location 2 disappeared because the location has not been used, so it doesn't appear at the end. Okay. Last but not least, there is the option to include sale order and purchase order. This is interesting because it's a different module as I showed before. Uh, it's possible, as the module has been structured, to include other objects into the query. Okay, so this query is visible, but because I'm an admin user, but you see that here we have. It's quite complicated, but if we add sell order and purchase order, we see that our query actually is a union. So it's possible just to add information. Sorry, this was quite technical passage, but just to let you know this. Okay, so this is it. So if you go into detail balance, for example, we may have, for example, here we have the PO002. We can go into the purchase order and check. There is nothing specific to be done, if I'm not wrong, on the purchase order. What we have is, okay, how it works. For purchase order, you have a schedule date here. So this is the date that it's considered into the computation. Okay, so this is it, and by default we have this stock picking type, and from the stock picking type information are taken for the because the I need to know Odoo needs to know from where to where you're moving the data. So it's important here in the stock picking type to include the default destination location, and yeah, I think also the source location is important. Okay, so please be aware that these two information are actually included, and yeah, well, in this case it's purchase, so they come from outside, so just the default destination location, it's important, which is your where the goods arrive. And for sale order, let's go to sales. In sale order, you have a forecasted date and the forecasted picking. So these two information has to be set in order to have the sale order included into the computation. So for example, this is the 18th of July. If we click the 18th of July, you see that the forecast picking is important. This is a recipe. So incoming. So if we click here on compute, we should have also this, you see here perfectly working, the sale order and the product one. Okay, the state it's the state of the sale order, no, which is in draft state. That's it. So yeah, what you can actually do is to click here on export table, and you have the table exported, both for detailed view or the main view, and what you will see is just you will have an Excel with what you see basically. So it's exactly a picture of it. And yeah, there are some additional settings here, but they're mainly for the graph, so they're not very useful. What's important here in the default is that if you click on default, you can just, I don't know, just for example, you can say that expenses, products, and for example, here you can just pick some information, you can pick the location, you can pick the product type, etc., etc., and you have some few additional, you see, additional configuration parameter that you can set as default in this object. So if you make a new query and you pick the default, you will see that these information are actually dragged into your main configuration. So this just to speed up the work. Okay, so I think I went through all the configuration. I hope you will like this module, and yeah, let me know. Just write me to giacomo.grasso.82@gmail.com, and I will answer you as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Yeah, have a nice day.